I think my favorite thing about the way this whole thing has turned out is that half of every class that we do now is first time hunters. We've got people that have
That's amazing.
we got people that have never even fired a firearm before that are coming to these classes because the word has gotten out that there is somebody that will be with them every step of the way. And so we go through, of course, firearm safety, but then we go through everything that you need to know, or maybe not everything, but through a lot of the things that you need to know to be able to get out and get an ethical shot on an animal, shot placement being one of them. And then you go out with a licensed guide who's going to help you get on an animal. And then you get to work with our amazing chef team, and you're going to learn how to put that animal to good use and how to put it in your freezer and ultimately on your table with our chef team. So it is a lot of fun.
Welcome back to the RedBeard Outdoors podcast. I'm Jonathan, your host, and here at RedBeard Outdoors, talk about faith, family, fitness, and the outdoors. Today, you're tuning into the Why First Phorm Outdoors episode. Every other Thursday, we do an episode on why First Phorm Outdoors from everyone from hunters, anglers, people that enjoy just getting out and camping, running marathons, the sun on their face, maybe even going down slopes and getting that snow smack in your face as you're going down some fresh powder, whatever it may be. Why First Phorm Outdoors, excuse me, why you should be a part of the community and why it's important for you to join. So with that being said, today, guys, we're going to go over over $9,000 sweepstakes that we are doing with the guest today. His name is Greg. He's with Outdoor Solutions, where they're breaking down barriers for people that are maybe even never hunted before in their lives. They're going to teach you how to shoot. They're going to teach you how to cook your game, how to process the meat, everything. And the sweepstakes is a rifle, a scope, a 4-day stay with their group in a lodge up in Montana on the Crow Reservation, hunting antelope or pronghorn, whatever you prefer. You don't want to miss out on that, guys. Check out the links all down below to get entered into that. We're coming up on the last week for that sweepstakes, so definitely get entered. No purchase required. You definitely want to be a part of that sweepstakes. Get entered. So with that being said, guys, Greg has gone through his own transformation as he's gotten into his 50s. He's losing the fat that he's wanting to lose, feeling more capable, and he explains why he has chosen First Phorm and First Phorm Outdoors to be his community, to push him to strive to be better, to experience more of the outdoors, what he loves, providing, teaching, all of those things for people that are either new hunters, never done it before, or people that have and just want to learn more and up their game. With that, guys, let's get into this conversation with Greg and Outdoor Solutions on why First Phorm Outdoors. Welcome, everyone, to the RedBeard Outdoors podcast. If you're watching live on YouTube, this is the first live YouTube I've done, and we've got Greg here being my guinea pig. So if I screw this up, it's Greg's fault. No, sorry, extreme ownership. It's my fault, right? No,
there you go. We'll tell Jocko.
Yeah, exactly. We'll tell Jocko about this. So, guys, I just wanted to bring Greg on. Greg is a fantastic dude. He absolutely loves getting outside. He loves long range shooting, loves hunting, loves all the things that you want to be doing in the outdoors pretty much. He's going on a bear hunt here in a couple weeks. He's got a ton of things planned, but more than anything, he is a part of the First Phorm and First Phorm Outdoors family. And I want to bring him on for our special edition that we do every other week of why First Phorm Outdoors. Now, if you're watching this live on YouTube, you get to see it live. But if you're watching this on Thursday, this is that episode for you where we just discuss why Greg chose to be a part of First Phorm rather than any of the other supplement companies that are out there, what's so big about the community that he loves. And of course, right now we've got the sweepstakes going on that Greg and his crew is giving so much to this sweepstakes. It's amazing. The total package is worth over $9,000 between you get a tag for antelope in Montana. It's 4 days, right? 4 days of stay, 4 days of food and being taken care of. Basically, the only thing you have to do is get yourself there. That's really it, right? If I'm understanding it correctly. So we're going to go over all of that today, guys. So with that being said, let's get a brief introduction here. Greg, who are you? And what is OSS?
Yeah, so Outdoor Solutions is a company that I started almost 20 years ago. This October will be 20 years. Did not start it with the intention for it to be what it is today. It was supposed to be a side hustle. I was a national sales manager for a Fortune 250 company and loved the outdoors. I grew up hunting, and it was just something I wanted to do on the side. And just through a series of events, a lot of strange things happened in our lives, including a Jeep crashing through our house going 70 miles an hour and running over me and my wife. That's a whole different story. But because of that, I'm doing this full time now because I ended up losing my job. So the short version of what Outdoor Solutions is, we put together hunting and fishing destinations for people that are looking for outfitters to work with. We're kind of the middleman, and we put you to outfitters that we have personally been to. That then transformed into a need for long range classes because a lot of our clients will come from Pennsylvania, Ohio, areas where maybe they don't even have a rifle season. They got slug gun and muzzleloader, but they want to go out where you live in Utah and they want to hunt mule deer. And we tell them, hey, you got to be prepared to shoot out maybe out to 400 yards. And they're like, we don't do that here. And so we created a solution to the need to be able to shoot out that far. So we started our long range classes. They go out to 1,000 yards. We don't advocate shooting at animals at 1,000 yards, but whenever that opportunity for a 300, 400, maybe even a 500-yard shot on an animal that makes you a more ethical hunter, you learn how to do it. And then our most recent thing, which is I think what we're here to talk about today, is our Field to Table program. I started that in 2019, and it has just exploded. We did in 2019, we did 2 events. We did them both in Texas. And fast forward to last year, we did 23 events. So it has just blown up, has become very popular. I think my favorite thing about the way this whole thing has turned out is that half of every class that we do now is first time hunters. We've got people that have never even fired a firearm before that are coming to these classes because the word has gotten out that there is somebody that will be with them every step of the way. And so we go through, of course, firearm safety, but then we go through everything that you need to know, or maybe not everything, but through a lot of the things that you need to know to be able to get out and get an ethical shot on an animal, shot placement being one of them. And then you go out with a licensed guide who's going to help you get on an animal. And then you get to work with our amazing chef team, and you're going to learn how to put that animal to good use and how to put it in your freezer and ultimately on your table with our chef team. So it is a lot of fun.
That's amazing. That's awesome. So basically you're taking your knowledge, your experience, the things that you love to do, and you're breaking down barriers for people that aren't sure how to do it. Now, I could see why, the large majority of your customers right now are new hunters, people that are new to the industry, because you are breaking down those barriers. Those are a lot of barriers that people, and I still feel like I'm green to the hunting scene. And I'm still learning. But there's a lot of things that you don't think about, like, even just knowing where to process your game meat. Some people are like, they're like, great, I got an animal down, now what? And that's kind of something you don't really think about ahead of time unless you've gone out hunting with somebody else that hunts. Maybe you just picked up a rifle, happened to draw a tag, and you know how to read a map well enough to know private and public land and where you can hunt. And that's it. And you went out and you shot the right animal. And now you're like, okay, crap. Now what do I do? So, it's definitely something that's really cool to get people out to do. Also, the ethical side of hunting. So for people out there that don't understand this, there's, hunting is actually one of the best deaths for an animal. Just being honest. And for people that don't understand nature, I recommend you go look it up. Those cute, cuddly wolves and bears that you see up on the posters where they say, don't hunt us. That's not how they are. That's like a photo taken out of Yellowstone or where they're tame. It's not real. They are mean, nasty critters, which they should be. They are predators out there, but they don't take kindly to their prey. They're not just out there to kill them as fast as possible. And so taking them in a hunting manner is the best death for an animal. And I feel like being ethical about it is our role. That's our responsibility as the hunter to be able to be ethical. If you know that you can't hit a target or a pie plate at 70 yards with your bow, don't go shoot an animal at 70 yards. It's not an ego thing. It doesn't matter. I don't care if you shoot an animal at 20. Actually, I think you're probably a better hunter than me if you can get them into 10 yards. You know, that's impressive. And that should be touted more than how far you shot the animal per se, because it needs to be that ethical shot. That is our responsibility to the wildlife that we are hunting. And so I love that you're teaching people that how to shoot out to 400 or 500 yards when they've never done that before. And then for people out west out here, we're like 500 yards. That's like a, you know, it's like that's normal, right? That's where you start on range day.
That's where we zero
So,
at.
yeah, exactly. That's our zero. But even when I rifle hunt, because I moved away from rifle hunting to get into archery, just didn't have time to do both. I absolutely love rifle hunting. But me personally, even when I rifle hunted, I was like, I don't want to shoot anything past 500 yards. And it wasn't that I couldn't, it was I still wanted that challenge of getting in closer to the animal, and getting as close as possible, because one, there's less room for error. Obviously, wind, heat, elevation, all this other stuff goes into your bullet trajectory. But also, I wanted that challenge of getting as close as possible, because the closer you get, the better they're able to see you, smell you, hear you, and it gets harder the closer you get, even with a rifle in that case. So kudos to you and your team for going out and teaching people that. That's awesome.
Yeah, and that's really what we've become, is just the educational side of the business, the hands-on educational. I mean, obviously we've got all the peripheral, the social media and the websites and all that to help back it up. But that's what our team really enjoys doing, is the educational and watching those light bulbs go off.
Oh yeah. Oh, definitely. And I just wanted to hear from your perspective. Um, why? What do you like about antelope so much? Why is this so? So I'm going to focus a little bit on antelope here, or pronghorn, which is the proper term, because if you want to shoot antelope, there are different species. We can go into all of that, but pronghorn is the proper term. You may hear both of those being interchanged, but why antelope? And we're going to focus on that too, because that's what the sweepstakes is that we're doing right now with First Phorm Outdoors and your
Correct.
crew, where again, over $9,000 package that you guys are going to be providing for somebody, a new rifle, a new scope, teaching them. So the classes in and of themselves are an expense for you guys, that you're just giving away this knowledge to the person that wins this hunt. And then the tag and a guided hunt out to get an antelope out there in Montana, which is a beautiful, guys, be ready to write a check for a down payment or something, because when you go to Montana, you're going to want to buy a house there. So it's just gorgeous country. But why antelope or pronghorn in this one?
So there's multiple reasons. I think first and foremost, one, antelope is very underrated as far as table fare. It is amazing. You let people, oh, it tastes like sage, or it tastes like it. It's all on how you prepare it. And so I don't know where that came from, but it's one of my all time favorite animals to eat. It's fantastic.
Well, and I'll cut in there too. We had yesterday so I guess maybe it was 2 days ago. So Monday, Memorial Day, happened to line up with my birthday this year. And so I ended up, they were all trying to plan a dinner for me. I was like, look, I want to use my Traeger. I'm grilling, right?
There
And
you
if you don't
go.
like game meat, go bring some other meat. I'll grill it for you. But I'm grilling. We threw moose on, pronghorn, mule deer, and elk. And 3 of those 4 I killed myself, and the 4th one I helped pack out. And so it was cool to be able to share those stories again, reminiscing on all that. But the one that went the fastest, which probably because I had less of it, but also people love the taste of it, was pronghorn. It was
Yep.
pronghorn backstrap. And so I would agree with you. It's one of those things that it's all in how you prepare it. But anyway, so continue.
Yeah, so the other reason, one of the top questions that we get asked from the new hunters is, what would you recommend for my first hunt? And so we generally give them 3 or 4 answers to it, uh, and it's all based off of availability,
Hmm.
prong and success rate. Whenever we get somebody goes out for the first time, obviously the end goal is to be able to put an animal down and be able to put it in the freezer. So you want the odds in your favor. So probably number 1 on the list is going to be hogs in Texas. There are a lot of them. So but also ranked up very high up there is antelope. It's just a very successful hunt.
Hmm.
Also, not only with it being successful, but you get the true hunting experience at spot and stock. And so for those of you that don't know, antelope, their vision is like you and I looking through a 10 by uh, power binoculars. So that's what their vision is like. And it's not, obviously it's not 360, but their vision is like 280 or something like that. Once you see them, their eye sockets are huge, so they can see extremely well, and that's what they use to their strength. And where they stay, there's very little cover, so you're getting that experience of what you need to do to be able to spot and stalk. Even though it's still a very highly successful hunt, it's still very challenging because you've got to be able to learn how to use what little bit of terrain that there may be, or some of the sagebrush, or whatever type of brush is out in the area that you're hunting. You've got to learn how to use that. So you get that true experience. You're not just sitting in a ground blind or a tower blind or a tree stand or something. You're going after them. You're not waiting for them to come by. So it's one of our top picks. That white-tailed deer and black bear are the ones that we always pick as far as highest opportunity for a new hunter to be able to go out for the first time. And then they're just a gorgeous animal too. So I've got one sitting right above me right now, is one of the very first big game animals that I ever took. And this was in New Mexico. I live in Oklahoma. So New Mexico is very easy for us to get to. And so they're just an absolutely gorgeous animal, but they're really, really good on the plate.
That's awesome. Yeah. And I would agree. They are definitely very, very interesting animal. And there's a lot, like you said, that goes into it. And it's cool that you're, again, breaking down that barrier of figuring out, because I've unfortunately ruined enough mule deer meat. I've never ruined elk. Elk is a little bit more special for me. Sorry for all you mule deer lovers out there, but I definitely experiment on my mule deer so I can then apply it to elk, because elk is just a little bit more special to me. But I've ruined plenty of backstraps by overburning them, over smoking them, and just trying to figure out like what the best way to handle it is. And so I've always, come to that conclusion that medium rare and thinly sliced or small slices of the steak definitely gets rid of the chewiness, because it is a lot more lean. So that's what creates the chewiness. And then I think the game flavor comes a lot too from overcooking it, but also how you treat it afterwards. So pronghorn is very interesting. I've only had the opportunity to kill one at this point. I would agree they're very plentiful. They're very funny creatures too, because you'll have 18-wheelers rolling by them on the highway. The moment you stop, they look up, they're gone, right? And that's exactly what happened. Oh yeah, a couple years ago, I had a tag up in Wyoming, and it was a good area. They were everywhere, and I was like, "Oh, this is gonna be easy." So we get up there just before light, and I'm driving. I'm like, "Man, that is a big one right there." Okay, so we pull over because I was watching them, as these big trucks were going by, and I'm like, "Okay, well they'll be fine if I pull over and just pull up some binoculars and check my map and see if this is a public portion, not that." The checkerboard that Wyoming is. And so, I pull over, and the moment I stopped my truck, like it was immediate. The buck pulls his head up, looks at me, and was gone with all of his does and the other two bucks that were with him. He was just gone. I'm like, are you kidding? Like, these guys are literally using their loudest brakes and everything coming by, and you're fine. The moment I stop, you're just, nope, not having it. So,
That's their signal, man.
Oh yeah, and ended up harvesting one. And luckily enough, it was in a spot that I could actually drive my truck out to, have my boys. It was a cold morning, and so they stayed in the warm truck with binoculars watching me, as I go off the road. I squatted down, got sighted in. It was about a 150-yard shot, dropped them right on the spot, which couldn't have been better for my kids. And picked them up, threw them in the back of the truck, and I made them help me actually process the meat in our backyard, which my wife was thrilled about. Just all this stuff and all the scraps and the fur and all this stuff in the backyard. She was like, "Oh man, we're turning into those neighbors now." Like,
we're those guys.
Yeah, we're those neighbors. But no, it was a great experience, and I would agree it's very, I wouldn't say easy, but a high likelihood of success because of how plentiful the targets are, especially if you're not out there for some world-class buck, right? If you're out there and you're okay to shoot a buck, but they're very interesting creatures, very unique in how they look, and And then do you guys, and I don't know, this is going to be in September, so it might be a hot day. I'm sure you'll discuss the fact that, they run hot, and antelope are generally, their internal temperature is warmer than most mammals, from what I understand in North America. Am I understanding that correctly?
Yeah, no, you're 100% correct. And plus you just look at the environment that they live in.
Mm,
They like the big wide open spaces because they do use their eyeballs as their number one defense,
mhm.
so they're not out there in the, in shade trees or in draws like a mule deer or elk are going to be. They're in the wide open. Yeah. So yeah, that's 100% true. So something else that you said, actually, I'm gonna back up for just a second. 150 yards on an antelope. That's a good stock. I don't
Yeah.
know that I've ever
Well,
gotten within 200 yards, 300 yards of an
it,
antelope. So,
it was a really good area, and it really wasn't much of a stalk. I literally got to, I think it was 150 yards off of the dirt road that I was on, and
uh-huh.
waited for them to cross from private to public. So I just kind of got ahead of them and looked at my Onyx and made sure that I knew where the public and private parcels are. Because if anyone's looked at a Onyx or any other public private map in Wyoming, it's ridiculous. It looks like
Right.
like a checkerboard.
Yep.
And so I just pulled off on the public section, got my boy set up with the binos, told him where to look and what to look at. And then I got 150 yards off the road, just knelt down, and they were a little skeptical, but it wasn't too bad. They were kind of feeding towards us and across this public piece. And as soon as they crossed that public piece, like, I just got the scope on him, and he just dropped.
Nice. Yeah. Well, I know firsthand, 150 yards on an antelope will definitely get your heart pumping. So
Oh yeah.
that's pretty
Oh
dang
yeah.
cool. So,
Yeah. It was,
but
it
what I was
was
going to
pretty
say
awesome.
is, you're talking about, like medium rare. So whoever wins this event will hear Chef Albert say multiple times that for any fast cooking method or any tender cut on a wild game animal, always cook rare. That's his thing.
Rare.
Yeah, that's what he
Hmm.
says. With the exception of bear and wild hogs,
Right.
those are because of trichognosis. But other than that, everything else he says rare. Now, I
Hmm.
probably, especially on a backstrap or a top round, will probably go more of a medium rare. Is
Mm-hmm.
probably more. It's just my personal preference.
Yeah.
But anyway, that'll be one of the things that they have the opportunity to learn,
Mm-hmm.
is the different cooking methods. Because what Chef Albert will do is he'll break the entire animal down into just three categories, and it's either going to be a tender cut, a less tender cut, or a tough cut. And then we're going
Mm-hmm.
to go over every cooking method for each one of those different cuts. And
Mm-hmm.
then whenever it comes time to do the butchering, we'll actually package everything accordingly. So they'll have everything packaged that way. So when they go put it in the freezer, or actually when they go to pull it out of the freezer and they've been home for a month or 2 months or whatever, and they pull it out like, oh, I've got a top round. What did he say this was? Oh, that's right. It was a tender cut. Well, they can go to the website and look at it too. But they can pull up, well, what do I do with the tender cut? And I can't remember the cooking methods,
Mm-hmm.
So that is the fun part of the class, is that those light bulbs will continue to go off months after you've had the actual experience itself, and you'll be able to relive that as you're, whatever cooking, whether you're throwing something on your Traeger or cast iron skillet or whatever it is that you're
Yeah.
doing. You'll have the opportunity to be able to relive that moment whenever you were in Montana on the Crow Reservation.
Yeah, for sure. And I'll definitely, it's that cutting down again that barrier to entry of even cooking the game meat. Now, making it those three categories, that is that's awesome, because again, there's so many, like, people can hear all the different, and there's even multiple names for different cuts. You go east, they're going to call it something. You go west, they're going to call it something. You go, just in a couple towns different, like, they're going to call the backstrap something else. And
Yep.
you take it to one butcher, it's one thing. You take it to another, it's so it can get confusing. But um, being able to keep it simple is always, the best method, especially for an entry level hunter or huntress, whoever's coming in and winning this event. That's going to be awesome. So you guys provide these things as classes, obviously outside of the sweepstakes. This is something that people can just come to you and sign up for throughout the year.
Yeah, yeah. Like I said earlier, I can't remember if we were recording yet or not, but last year we did 23 events. We
Wow.
do a lot of them in Texas because obviously there's a ton of opportunity in Texas. But this one is the one in Montana. This will be our third year to do this. And we do them in Alaska with black bear and salmon. We do them in New Mexico, Colorado, for cow elk. We do them right here in my home state in Oklahoma for whitetail, deer, hogs, and turkey. We do one with sandhill crane and waterfowl. Yeah, so pretty much anything that you hunt, we do a field to table for, and they're all just a little bit different, but they're all inclusive. Most of them are 4 days, 4 nights. You come and stay with us. We provide the lodging. We even provide the firearms, the optics, the ammo, of course, the guides, and then you get the full chef experience with one of our 3 chefs.
That's amazing. That's awesome. And
Yeah.
for people going to these events, like, you're going to learn a lot. And that's the thing with, it can look daunting. I don't personally know the pricing, but I can only imagine what it should be valued at. And I know, knowing you as a person enough that I know you don't seem like you're going to gouge anyone, but as people look at these events, it's going to be more than just going to your local Harmon's or whatever and taking a cooking class, but you're going to gain an experience that you won't ever be able to live somewhere else, and the knowledge behind it as well. Like, I've been to multiple camps, various, with various people that are trustworthy individuals, such as yourself. But for example, elk shape camps, people look at that, and I've had people say, man, how do you spend that money on a camp for 3 or 4 days? I'm like, I hear what you're saying. I get it. If you look at the price itself, it can look daunting, but what you're getting out of it is relationships, is knowledge and experience that you won't gather no matter how much time you spend trying to do it yourself. These guys are cutting down the barrier for you to be able to have a better experience in the outdoors than you just trying to go out and huff it and figure it out yourself, wasting all that time. And really, how much is your time worth? That would be something else too that I would ask. So those are all things that you guys should consider, even if you don't happen to win the sweepstakes, which hopefully one of you guys out there listening does win it. But even if you don't, you can always sign up for one of these events at maybe a destination place that you've wanted to go to, and you can turn it into a whole big thing. Maybe you have a spouse, maybe you have a girlfriend or a boyfriend that is getting into, or not, maybe wanting to go through all those hurdles themselves as well. Greg and his crew will be able to help you break down those barriers so that you can really dive in and see, is this something that you want to do outside of the hurdles that you have to overcome? All of those things you guys should be considering as you go and look at Greg and what they have to offer over there at Outdoor Solutions, because it really is a special thing to be able to go do. So I appreciate everything that you guys put out and what you guys are doing to help the community, because we do need to continue to grow, as a outdoors community, and this is a big deal. Not to mention, we are involved with First Phorm. Protein is king, obviously, and the best protein is going to be game meat. It really is.
100%.
And now it's not going to be necessarily your tender Wagyu steak or something like that. And there's nothing wrong with getting that every once in a while, but on a regular basis, eating the lean red meat that you get from game meat is like no other. It really is. You just feel, and Cam Haynes puts it best, when he eats bear, he just feels like more of a predator, right? It just like, there's something in it that just gets you going. And there's definitely, it's a higher hemoglobin count generally. There's a lot of other good things in it. You get more vitamins out of the meat than you do something that's been sitting there and grain fed to finish up, sitting in a stall, whatever it is. There's so many benefits to it. So now, with that being said, I want to kind of transition into why have you picked First Phorm as your community when there's so many other supplement companies out there and outdoors communities? Why did you get involved with First Phorm?
So, great question. So, I've been in this business, like I said, for almost 20 years, and there's some other great companies out there. Some that put out some really good supplements. Some that put out garbage,
Yeah.
to be honest with you. But here's what I like about First One. I found out about, probably like most people, found out about Andy first through the original MFCEO podcast. And then turns out that, I'll fast forward, turns out that First Phorm Outdoors had been around for a while before I even heard about it. and I can't remember. I don't remember what it was. I don't remember if it was a promo or anyway, something came across my feed. And I was like, oh, they're doing an outdoors section. Cause I'd been using at this point, I'd been using First Form products for probably a year and a half, maybe even closer to 2
Oh,
years.
wow.
So I'd been using it had been using it for a while. And at that point had just really appreciated the culture and mindset that First Form had created.
Mm-hmm.
Man, it was just cool as hell. Love listening to the podcast, and I had told myself, man, someday I'm going to be involved with that company. I'm going to do something with them some way, somehow. I don't know what. Actually, a couple of my buddies have been on Andy's podcast. One of them, JP Donnell, has been on there a couple of times. JP, we hardly ever get him anymore, so he's so busy with Echelon Front, but occasionally we get him as one of our instructors as well, so he's a former Team 3 sniper guy and is real good friends with our director of training. And since years ago, JP and I have become friends as well, So anyway, I had just made up my mind that somehow, someday that was going to happen. Well, then I found out about First Phorm Outdoors. It may have been the Montana Knife Company promo. I'm not sure because it's fairly recent that I found out about it. And I just sent out a random email that was on the website, the customer service. And I got a customer service guy actually emailed me right back saying, oh, you need to talk to a guy named Jake. I'm like, all right, cool. So I emailed a guy named Jake and I never got a response back. Well, the original guy, the customer service, I can't remember his name. He ended up just following up with him. Hey man, did you ever get to talk to Jake? I was like, no. I said, I was gone for a while. And anyway, we just kind of went back and forth. And anyway, I started doing the pro staff search thing. I was like, well, maybe I'll get them to notice me this way. So I started doing that program and end up somehow getting hooked up with Kaylee and found out that she was a fellow Okie and actually she grew up literally 20 minutes from where I live now. And anyway, I just absolutely love the culture that has been created and the mindset that everybody has. Obviously, the products speak for themselves, but it's just the mindset that everybody is just so positive. Everybody's about bettering themselves, bettering their community. And I didn't realize to what extent until I'm going to say maybe it's been 2.5 months ago. I got the opportunity to go up and meet Jake and Kaylee firsthand and got to go tour the facility, got a workout in with Jake, and then found out what First Form is really about. And if you think you know, I guarantee you don't unless you go up there.
Yep.
It is just a completely different mindset when you go in there. If there was anybody within arm's reach of me when I was standing around talking to Jake or talking to Kaylee, they'd come up and introduce themselves to me. Hey, how you doing? Are you on a tour? You got your little guest badge on. And, why are you here? Where are you from? Everybody was just so friendly. A lot of them, especially on Jake and Kaylee's side of the business, knew who I was and who Outdoor Solutions was because we'd already started working on putting this promo together, which this is probably about 8 months in the working, in the making of putting this together. We tried last year and just didn't get it put together. And then you know what it's like. I mean, the place is just absolutely immaculate. You go in the gym and it is way nicer than any commercial gym I've ever been in. And that's, I mean, you're talking LA Fitness, I don't know the names of all the other big ones, but anyway, just any of the big, nice gyms, everything is in perfect place. As soon as you're done, everybody is, of course, wiping down the area that they were with. Everything has its place and goes back in place. The logo is in a perfect up and down. I kept messing with Jake and we turn logos sideways a little bit and get them out. No, you can't do that. You got to put them up and down. But it was just the mindset of the company and the culture, and that filters down to all the people. I think probably the biggest thing that really blew my mind whenever I was there is that as big as, well, they have 3 buildings there now, as big as those buildings are, the staff, the team cleans those buildings themselves. They're obviously responsible for their own areas, but then they have designated times that maybe their team goes and cleans the gym or whatever, and it's immaculate and they're happy to do it and they have pride in what they're doing. And then I think probably the last thing, the big thing with the outdoors part, the big thing for me was that whenever I saw that First Form was in the outdoors community and that they were making a push like they are going to make a difference. And I want to be part of it because that's what we do on our side is we want to make a difference. Whenever we do our field to table events, our whole purpose is with getting these brand new hunters in is to be able to make a good first impression. You've heard a million times you only get one opportunity to do that. A lot of people will
Mm-hmm.
have a preconceived idea of what hunters and hunting is about. And a lot of times it's not the right idea because social media, mainstream media does not do us any favors. They picture us or paint a picture of us as a bunch of hillbilly rednecks running around with a rifle in one hand and a whiskey bottle in the other, and we shoot at everything that moves. Now, there are those in our
Mm-hmm.
community, but we try to get rid of them as quick as we can. But for the most part, it's very family friendly. Anybody is welcome. And that is what we want to be able to portray through Outdoor Solutions. And I know that that is the same image that First Form wants to portray. And so I thought, man, here's my chance. And so I'm going to put my name out there. And luckily, I got teamed up with Jake and Kaylee, and now I've met quite a few other people within the community as well. Brian, who's my advisor at First Form, loves what we're doing. So anyway, it's just a great opportunity to be something that I know is going to be absolutely huge.
That's amazing. That's awesome. That's it really does explain First Form really well. It's one of those things that there's so much going on that it's not, and some people might get offended or upset if they don't get a response back immediately, like you didn't get one from Jake necessarily. But they also need to understand that kind of like you took that almost as a challenge, like, well, now I'm going to find another way in. And that's kind of how it's kind of an unintentional way of weeding out the people that just are asking for something. But it really is. I mean, I don't want to speak for people like Jake and at headquarters, but if you think about it, like we as a community of First Form are all about people that genuinely want to get better, but also provide that value. And for people that listen to Andy, the value exchange concept works so well. And any partnerships that I've ever had, it's easier to come in and say, here's what I can provide for you. I want you value, I value you as a partner. So I'm asking to be a partner, or they come to me, same vice versa. And this is what I can provide for you. You don't start off with, what can I have from you? And so that's exactly how you handled it. And it's turned into something that's amazing. And like you said, 8 months of work to put this together. I think people think that, giveaways or sweepstakes just happen at the drop of a hat. And that's not really how that works. I mean, there's a lot more scheduling and stuff that goes into it than that. And so, people, I want people to understand that it's a big deal that you guys are able to work with them at headquarters and provide this for people that again, breaking down barriers. And that's what we're all about too, is how can you experience more of the outdoors? What can you do to get even further? Maybe you're an Eastern guy coming out west for this antelope hunt. Maybe, again, you don't cook your game meat. Maybe your game meat's just sitting in the freezer because you don't know how to take care of it. And you should be taking care of it and using it, because that is a amazing resource to have and share with people around you. Excuse me. And again, I love more than anything the people that are, and I don't ever try and sneak it. I'm not all about that either. Like if someone comes over and I'm like, oh yeah, this is a grass-fed steak, don't you? Like, no, like I like to tell people this is what it is. And if you don't like it, I'm sorry. I'll grill whatever piece of meat you bring over, but this is what I'm providing. And being able to share those stories too, that the moose that we cooked on Monday, we packed it out, the steepest pack out I've had, shortest pack out I've ever had probably, but one of the steepest, nastiest pack outs. And, just the fact that this cow moose, the leg, like I was holding it up here with 2 arms and it was still dragging the ground, like how big this animal is. Things like that are just, there's nothing like it. And, outside of the cheat code of going and hanging out with Greg, over there at OS, you guys obviously teach people how to cook well, but I'll tell you that Traeger, man, that thing, I don't know what you guys use to cook. Your chefs probably are obviously a lot better at cooking than I am. But dude, that little meat probe and the Traeger, and the little buzzer that goes off on my phone, You know, that lets me
Zaps
know,
are
hey,
amazing.
exactly. It's like it's at 1:30. All right, pull them off, and they're nice and juicy and perfect, and they cut into them, and it's just amazing. Instead of the flames that happen from a propane grill or all this, like it made me look way better than I am actually at cooking. So, but
I'll take all the
yeah,
help I can get.
yeah, no, I definitely hear that, and especially again when you're trying to present and share game meat with other people, it's it most people that you speak with that don't like game meat has to do with the preparation. I'd
Oh,
say almost
100%.
100% of the people, unless they just don't like red meat to begin with. It's about the preparation, and most of the time it's overcooked because they'll say it was chewy or it tasted gamey or it wasn't, it wasn't enough fat. And I'm like, all of that has to do with the preparation. So again, you guys are helping people go back home and be able to share this amazing experience through a meal that they are now no longer worried about cooking, and getting those kind of looks from their family that's like, oh yeah, this is this is really good, let me drink some more water as I try and get this down. Like, like, you know
They're spitting in their napkin.
yeah, they're like, oh, this is great. Oh, yeah. Yeah,
Well,
no, yeah.
I'm so excited for this winter because they are so. Not only are two of our three chefs, not only are they chefs, but they're retired culinary
Mhm.
instructors, so they know how to teach this stuff really well. And so whenever they start preparing the dishes, basically what happens on the last evening is the chef has a predetermined menu,
Mhm.
and then in teams of two, each team will be responsible for one of the items on the menu. And this isn't just breading something, throwing it in some grease and chicken fry and whatever. It is some really elevated stuff, some au pois, some um, braciole,
Mm.
trying to some uh, uh, corned venison egg rolls with a homemade wasabi. Of course, we do some steaks. We do, meatball Italian wedding soup. Just all different types of things. And you're thinking, oh God, I'm never gonna
Wow.
be able to duplicate that. It's super easy, and
Mhm.
that's the whole thing that you're going to find out about this. Even the butchering, the processing, making your own sausage, making your own burger. And then doing some of these elevated recipes, it is not hard, and that is what keeps most people from doing it because they think, it's going to be too hard. I'm not going to be able to learn how to do it. It's not hard.
Yeah.
5 years ago, I couldn't do 90% of the things that I'm doing now because my experience. I've been hunting my entire life. I grew up on a 2,000-acre cattle ranch here in Oklahoma. Um, until 5 years ago, I could not have told you the difference between an eye around or a flat iron, what part of the animal they came from, or how you cooked them. And
Mhm.
now not near as good as the chefs, but I can teach the class now because I've
Oh, that's
learned
awesome.
so much, and it's a whole different experience. We 95% of what we eat here at home is wild game, by occasionally a little bit of chicken, and that's it. Everything else is wild game. I have an opportunity to be able to hunt a lot. I've been very blessed with what I do. So our freezers actually they're pretty low now. I was going to say they stay pretty full, but they're actually pretty low. So thank goodness I drew an elk tag this year. So,
No, that's awesome.
but
That's
anyway, I'm
awesome.
super excited for them because they're going to learn some really cool stuff. They're going to learn from an amazing guy, Chef Albert, who's just he's been an amazing mentor to me, and I'm just really excited about whoever wins this opportunity.
No, that is exciting. Well, I know you've got a hard stop coming up here, and I definitely took probably almost 3 times as much time as I told you it would take. So, with that, I could keep talking, but uh, you know, what would be your top 3 reasons for people to choose First Form and First Form Outdoors? And I keep saying those two separately, but at the same, because I want people to understand it is the same company. There's a branch of First Form that is reaching out to you as an outdoors man or an outdoors woman that loves fishing, hiking, running, camping, all of the things, biking, whatever it is. You don't have to be a hunter to enjoy even this experience with the sweepstakes. This is something that is going to be new. You're going to be taught everything from the ground up. It's probably even better if you're not into it because you don't come in with bad habits and other things that you're trying to break. You guys as teachers probably appreciate that even more of someone that's brand spanking new. But with that, you don't have to be any of that to get into the First Phorm Outdoors community and First Phorm Outdoors Group, because we want every outdoorsman and woman to enjoy and experience more of whatever it is that you love, with the sun shining on your face or the snow smacking you in the face as you're going down a slope, whatever it is. So what would be your top 3 reasons why First Phorm Outdoors for somebody?
So I want to say this in addition to, because you brought up a great point. You do not have to be a hunter. In fact, we highly encourage, if you are not a hunter, to sign up for this and get into it, so you can come and experience and see what it's all about. And that'll lead into my top 3. One, more than anything else, is community. As like I said, everybody is welcome, and just like what you said, you do not have to. Um, you don't have to be a hunter. You don't have to be an angler. You can be into whatever that you want to be. Just be around some great people, and learn. So I guess that would probably be number 2, is have the opportunity to learn, because there's so much knowledge out there. We've got a great team with what we do, and we love passing that knowledge along. But there is just a whole wealth of knowledge of people within the First Phorm community that will be more than happy to pass that knowledge along to anybody else that wants to join. And then the third one, for me anyway, is being around people that want to push you to be a better person, not only physically, which obviously that's kind of the main thing behind First Phorm, is, with the supplements and living that type of lifestyle. That I'll be 58 this year, and at 58, I am in way better shape now than I was in my early 40s. I was a toad in my early 40s. And so now, just being around this community, it makes you want to be a better person. And I think that's really one of the biggest reasons to be part of this community is you got the opportunity to help others, and you got an opportunity to help yourself.
And let me ask you, and we'll get into this. So we're going to have Greg come on to another podcast as well, where we do even more full length episode where we kind of dive down your own transformation, because you've had your own, which is pretty impressive, especially as people say, I was joking about, I turned 32 on Monday, right? So I'm still a young cat, but I was joking about how I woke up with a kink in my neck to somebody, one of the neighbors. I was like, "Oh man, I feel old now. I got a kink in my neck," and and she was like, "Well, it just goes down from here." And I'm just like, how many times do you hear that, right? Like, I'm joking. Yep. I'm not really in pain, right? Just whatever, kind of feeding into it. But like, people genuinely get that perception of, once you've hit your early to mid 30s, it's all downhill. And you're the opposite of that. You have bettered your life as you've gotten older. And correct me if I'm putting words in your mouth here, but you have made yourself more capable of doing the things that you love, of teaching these classes, of living the lifestyle that allows you to do even more of it, rather than coming home, kicking your feet up, kicking your boots off, and be like, "Man, that was rough. I hiked a whole mile today." Like, it's, instead of that, now you're like, "Let's go for another one. Let's do another one. We can do more classes. We can do more events," right? And you're in your 50s at this point. Like, that is something that people don't think about. And again, it's not only because of First Phorm. So I'm not saying that for people out there listening. This is not just because of First Phorm. It takes work, it takes effort, but it is about the community you surround yourself with. So if you sit around with people that drink all the time and hang out and don't really pursue their passions, they like to be the person that says, "Well, in high school, I could have thrown the football over that mountain over there." If you're hanging out with people like that, where are you going to end up?
Yep.
It's just a
Same
solid
place.
question.
Yep.
Or if you're in the community like First Phorm Outdoors, there's many great communities out there, but First Phorm Outdoors, where people are genuinely questioning you, to ask and learn, to push you to be better, you put your goal out there, they hold you accountable to it. Like, those are the kind of people and community you want to be around. And so seeing your personal transformation, and again, getting into your 50s, when people are like, "Man, you should start falling apart by now," you're like, "Man, I feel better than I did 20 years ago." And that's amazing in and of itself. So congrats on that.
things still hurt, but it's a mentality. And
Mhm.
so, and I'll leave you with this because this is a prime example. So we just finished the spring challenge, and it wasn't even a blip on my radar. I didn't even think about it. So I use the First Form app. That's how I do my workouts, and
Mhm.
I track all my macros and everything. So my advisor is Brian Painter, and he just sent me a message like, "Hey, do this." I was like, "Dude, I'm going to be gone 5 of the 8 weeks. I'm like literally gone. I'm gone 35 days straight." I was like,
Mhm.
"Yeah, I don't know." He's like, "I'm challenging you to do it." Oh crap! You can't turn down a challenge. So anyway, I did. It's the best decision, other than like maybe doing 75 hard or something like
Mhm.
that. But it was a great decision. It was all because Brian pushed me to do it. I ended up dropping 16 pounds on the road, and feel a hell of a lot better. I had to do a lot of planning, a lot of prepping, and now,
Mhm.
man, that momentum is just snowballing. And I'm now that I'm home, I'm pushing even harder. But it was all just
Mhm.
because I'm part of the First Form community. I got a great advisor. He pushed me to do something. I did it, and now I'm better because of it. So that's another great reason to be part of First Form and First Form Outdoors.
Exactly. Exactly. Guys, I'm telling you, it is amazing. I'm going to leave the links for all of the things we've talked about down below. First off, get entered in the sweepstakes. No purchase required for winning over $9,000 worth of experience, gear, and everything, food, and everything else that you're going to get. Over $9,000. Get entered today before it's too late. We're coming up on the last couple days. It's basically the last week of the sweepstakes. Also, to get into First Form Outdoors, I'm going to leave the link down below for a Facebook group that we've got over 6,000 members strong and growing every single day. I'm stoked for you to be a part of it as well. And then, of course, you know, Greg, guys, I'm telling you, Greg, and I'm going to put you in there with like Cam Haynes. He's an older gentleman that has been running for, I don't even know how long. And he talks about it too. You brought up you still hurt. It's not like you're pretending like you don't hurt, but
Mm-mm.
your community has pushed you, like you said, that challenge that was extended to you. You stepped your game up and you did the planning. Brian didn't do the planning for you. Brian didn't do the eating for you, the workouts, any of that. It's still possible on the road. But the reason I'm saying, you know, with Cam Haynes too, like he might seem like a lone wolf to you guys, but if you get to know him at all, he always talks about his team that he has behind him. And that's his secret sauce. He'd still be running and shooting a bow. I guarantee that without anyone around him. But he has a team as well. So if you look up to Cam Haynes or you look up to people like him, um, they still have communities. So don't try and do this alone. And that's what we're here for. That's what Greg and his crew is going to be there for you when you go on this hunt, when you win the sweepstakes. And if not, when you go to one of his experiences and learn how to cook better than I ever will, and how to take care of your game meat and how to fish and hunt and all the other stuff that they offer. So go check it out, guys. Links will be all down below. Thanks so much, Greg. I really appreciate having you on and you taking your time out of your day. Again, 3 times the amount of time I said I was going to take from you. And and with that being said, guys, as I always say, get out, live your life, and love it. All right. Thanks so much for tuning into this, guys. Hope you enjoyed that conversation. Greg is a stud. He is going through his own transformation right now as he genuinely wants to provide for his family. He wants to provide for you. He wants to provide for the people that he works with. And of course, teaching people on how to enjoy the outdoors between fishing, hunting, getting guided services, cooking your meat afterwards, preparing it, all of the things. He's breaking down barriers so that we can have more people enjoy the outdoors and get some of that great, amazing wild game protein. Guys, it is truly some of the best red meat that you will ever have. If you've never had it before, properly cooked, prepared, you'll definitely fall in love. So get entered in on this sweepstakes down below. Again, it's over $9,000 package between a rifle, a scope, 4 days with them, cooking classes, learning how to shoot, a tag for a antelope up in Montana or pronghorn, whatever you prefer to call them. Guys, definitely check it out. Don't miss out. Also, all the links to find Outdoor Solutions and Greg are down below. Check them out in the description down below, guys. Thank you so much for tuning in. Subscribe to the channel if you want to continue to gain knowledge on this series, the Why First Form Outdoors series, or anything else that we have with the full length episodes on Saturdays that are an hour to an hour and a half. and then the gear reviews that I do as well, between first impressions, gear reviews, etc. Guys, don't miss out. We're continuing to grow. I'm doing a giveaway, at least one, if not multiple, every single month this year of 2024 to give back to you, because the growth has been outstanding. So thank you so much. Let's get after it, guys. Have a fantastic rest of your day. And of course, get out, live your life, and love it.